welcome to our school anniversary project. Today we will talk about our cause and effect essay. The members of this group are Ariana Becerra, Laura Laiva, me, Jay Mudoya, and Gianluca, who isn't able to be here today.
This is our first bimester opener. Here we can see our key concept, related concept, global context, and a statement of inquiry. We can also see our inquiry questions that are divided into three: factual, conceptual, and debatable. And at the bottom part, we see the IB profile, approaches to learning, and the criteria.
Following what Ariana said, here in our seminar, here in the first semester opener, we can see firstly the key concept, which in this case is the creativity. In this case, creativity was mostly used for us in order to experience what was happiness, for us to imagine what was it, and what were our goals for us to be happy. The related concept in this case was purpose, which in this case was to first do our, of course, key and our cause and effect. Our cause and effect essay in this case. We wanted to share our ideas to our friends and also to have a better and more complex idea of what is happiness. How can we achieve happiness, and also what is the idea between these things?
Now, moving on to the global context, which is identities and relationships. We can put identities and relationships together with our summative assessment because we believe that what makes us happy is part of our identities and part of who we are as people. And relationships because many of us in general are happy or feel fulfilled when we have good relationships with our parents or our friends. This is our statement of inquiry. We can first use language to describe and define happiness and intelligence, and only then can we work towards a personal future filled with feelings in a global context. This is related to our summative assessment because we use language, of course, in the form of an essay to define what happiness means to us. And with that, we can help ourselves get to know more about who we are as people. These are our criterion A, B, C, and D. We can see criterion A when the teacher showed us videos about the theme of happiness and fulfillment, of course. Then criterion B, comprehending written and visual text, we can see it when we investigated more about the theme, of course, with websites or blogs. Criterion C, communicating in response to spoken, written, and visual text, we can see it when the teacher, Ms. Michelli, asked us questions about what we had seen in criterion A and B. She would ask us questions like, what did you see in the video? What did you understand from the we did an essay, of course, which is written form, and then we had to present it to to our class, which was spoken form.
Now let's talk about our GRASP, that means goal, role, audience, situation, and product. Our main goal in this summative assessment was to create our cause and effect essay regarding the topic of happiness, more specifically, how to be happy. We also make in our presentation explain our essay. During this summative assessment, we assumed the role of communicators. Our audience was the skill community, and the final products were the oral presentation and the essay.
Some of the skills we used throughout the investigation and the planning for the cause and effect essay were, in this case, research and the information literacy skills. In this case, the research was for us to know more about what's happiness, to know about our friends and what, for example, made us they're happy, and what were the criterions for us to use in order to determine what was it. Our thinking and creative thinking skills were for us in order to know what was that specific thing that made us happy, for example, or also to know what other people thought about what was happiness, maybe for us to know, to determine and know the reality of what is happiness. The self-management and reflection skills for us in order to have a better conclusion for us to know what really is happiness, how can we make for us ourselves a fulfilling life, and also for us to be happy, pretty much. And finally, the social and collaboration skills, which are mostly due to teamwork, and also for us at the end of the action part for us to present what we thought.
Now, moving on to our inquiry questions. The first one is a factual, and it is divided into two parts. The first one is what makes teenagers happy and fulfilled, and what is fulfillment? The first one we had to recall back to the first bimester, and we came up with these points. Well-being coming from physical, emotional, and mental health, understanding our emotions, feeling that we're doing well, and having good relationships is what made us happy. And for this second question, what is fulfillment, is kind of difficult to define because everyone has different ideas of what is fulfillment. For example, Laura, who just talked right now and is in the group, thinks that fulfillment is not achievable since our goals and what makes us happy change over time. Well, as for me, I think that fulfillment is the feeling you get after you've done something you wanted to do for a long time. Now, the conceptual question, again, this one is moved into two parts. How can we create a fulfilling life for ourselves, and do we all have the same kind of intelligence? Again, this first question is hard to define, but I'll tell you mine. For me, a fulfilling life is after you've done all of the things you've wanted to do, all of your goals. Even if those change over time, if you can still achieve them, then it's a fulfilling life. And the second question, do we all have the same kind of intelligence? The short answer is no, we don't. Imagine if you're good at writing lyrics for a song or producing music, then you have musical intelligence. If you're good at expressing yourself orally or in a written form, then you have linguistic intelligence. And if you're good at using your body, whether it be for sports, yoga, or exercises, then you have bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Sorry.
Following the inquiry questions, the third one is a debatable one, meaning this that there will be a lot of opinions regarding that topic in this case. So, to my mind, the first question is what makes a for happy and fulfilled life? To my mind, it really depends on the person which you are talking to. Although we cannot say there's something in general for each, maybe there are some universal facts, such as helping someone, your family, and your friends, for example. The second one is how can we create a fulfilling life for ourselves? And to my mind, I think we mostly need to set up goals and mostly finish it. But most of all, help the ones who are in need. Mostly do for us to be caring and care for the ones that are every day with us.
This is our
This is
okay. Go you. Yeah, this is our famous inquiry cycle. It's contains three actions: inquiry, action, and reflection. But first, we need to talk about the tools we use for our work. The main tool we used was our digital notebook, and which contains many entries with different activities for us to do to achieve our main goal. Now, let's talk about our inquiry part. During the third week, we watch a video about what is happiness, and we developed a formative assessment that was a worksheet that contains questions and a graphic organizer that asked us to put our main ideas and supporting details. During the fourth week, we watched another video, but this time was about cause and effect testing. During this video, we take some notes about the structure and some linking words we could use for the development of our assessment. During the fifth week, we make a list of 10 things that makes us happy. We also, from these 10 things, choose 3 things that will be the causes of our essay. This is the graphic we use for choosing our tree and the choosing the three causes and organizing the structure of our essay.
In a week 6, we had first steps to write and cause and effect essay, as the title says. What we had to do in order to finish our introduction and also part of the body, we had to need some steps. For example, in the introduction, yes or yes, we had to put the main topics we were going to talk about, and also for each paragraph, we were going to talk about a main topic, a main subject. During the week 7, we were mostly centered on the cause and effect conclusion, which was mostly for us to pretty much say what we have said in a more organized and recapitulating what we have said, pretty much. Those are parts of the conclusion of some of the members. And finally, to end the action part of we ended it at week 8, sorry, with the oral presentation, which was the final part of it. We had to present our ideas, share it to our friends, and have an opinion about it. And during the week 9, this was the reflection part. We had a self-evaluation in which we had to gross what we thought about was how was our work, if it was okay, what we thought could be improved, and stuff like that.
In weeks 9 and 10, we had already finished our essay, so the teacher asked us to interview a classmate with the topic we were talking about this whole bimester, which was fulfillment and happiness. We asked questions about what they wanted to be in the next 10 years, with questions like what school you want to work in, or if you want to work at all, or where do you want to be. This was Gianluca's essay. He talked mostly about music because that's what made him happy.
This is my essay, and my three causes were being with my family and friends, listening to music, and hugging someone.
This is my cause and effect essay. As my other members, it also talks about happiness and my three causes, or my three things that made me happy. The first one was not comparing myself to others, being grateful, and being optimistic.
Here is my essay, the cause and effect essay 1. And I wanted to do something different, so what I did was, as an introduction, share my opinion about what was happiness. I thought that there wasn't something in particular which I thought was happiness due to the change of objectives throughout your life. Although, as a conclusion, I said that even though we don't have a certain particular thing that made us happy, there are universal facts. For example, caring about someone, your family, your friends, and mostly helping the ones in need.
This is our metacognition, and our first question is, what have I learned? I think we've all learned how to do a cause and effect essay, but we also learn to identify what makes us happy and what makes us have a fulfilled and happy life.
The second question is, how did I learn it? We all learned it thanks to our teacher, Ms. Micheli, the blog, many videos that were inside the blog, and paragraphs and websites.
The third question is, what parts of a task were easy, difficult, or new? And to my mind, I think most of it was difficult, and mostly this because it was new.
The fourth question is, how was this useful to me? This was useful for us because it helped us understand more about ourselves, because it's not every day that you ask yourself, what makes me happy, And thinking about this makes you realize more about yourself and how you are as a person in the world. And finally, how can I improve it? I believe we can all improve it by making or doing more things that we should have done. For example, we could have investigated more about the topic or thought more about ourselves.
Statement of inquiry. The statement of inquiry of the first term was: we can first use language to describe and define happiness and intelligence, and only then can we work towards a personal future filled with feelings in a global context. The statement of inquiry was related to the summative assessment because we did a cause and effect essay about what makes us happy in our lives. Uh, and with this essay, we like describe and define what made us happy, and with that in thought, we could work and climb up to a better personal future. Oh, so this is the famous inquiry cycle. Well, the inquiry cycle is based on three actions. In this case, they were inquire, action, and reflection. This was the essay I did in our very first bimester. In this essay, I talk about what makes me happy in my life, which in my case is music and hanging out with friends and being with my family. Last but not least, how can I improve it? In my opinion, I could improve my essay by investigating more about how to carry out a good essay on the structure and the information that should go on there.
These are our episode sources. Thank you very much for listening.